Brad Goshorn. I'm a member of the Hort Society. I'm a board member, and I want to share my garden with you this morning. So, some of you might look at this and think, oh, it's just a regular gravel path in the backyard. And it is that, definitely. But one of the issues that it is here is that during downpours like we get in the summer, the backyard would just fill with water and it would get stuck here. And so, a lot of issues there. It's the lowest spot naturally on the property, and so we wanted to work with that. So how do we do that? We put in a dry well. The dry well basically is more or less a channel that was dug about 4 feet wide. It's about 12 feet long and about 3 feet deep. So it just looked like a big ditch. Then we came in with larger gravel and filled the hole. We put some landscape fabric down and then used a finer grade granite to create this path. So in a rain event, say like 2 days ago, we had 2 inches of rain in a pretty short period of time. The back area here had roughly 2 inches of water just standing. But within an hour, it had percolated back down into the water table below. So it's a really, really great way, instead of it rushing off and down a ditch and into the river, to actually recharge the ground table. So a really great solution if you have issues, which I know most of us do in Charleston with drainage, somewhere on your property. So just an idea. So if you think about it, just look it up online. It's called a dry well. It's a really great solution, very affordable. One of the in the designs that I do in my career, I constantly harp on the idea of using texture, contrast, vibrancy, really trying to pack color in areas that have low light. So that may be using a plant that's variegated or spotted, like the leopard plant here, the Farfugia. It's a fantastic opportunity, and they grow really, really well in Charleston. They love our climate. They don't want full hot cooking sun. It won't kill them, but definitely they suffer a little bit in the summertime. But back here, it's nice dappled light. As you go a little bit further in the sense of this sort of contrast between a really waxy, shiny tropical leaf like the leopard plant to a soft caress mahonia, which is a bit more spiky. It's not pokey, but definitely has that kind of ferny, lacy, webby quality. It's just a really nice juxtaposition of those two different textures. Also, the soft crest mahonia will bloom, and it has a gorgeous yellow conical bloom, almost very kind of foxglove-like. So that contrast between the textures, but then the commonality between the yellow of the spot and the yellow of the mahonia really creates a powerful punch in a very shady, dappled space. So, from a design standpoint, the idea of threshold is a really, really important component in creating a human-scaled space. What that means in basic English is you can use shrubs just like you can use structures like gates and walls to really direct the eye and direct the viewer and direct the user of the space into the other spaces. So there's a fence I have on the side, and that's sort of a structural piece, but I wanted to use shrubs. So the pittosporum that are to the right and left of the path create this gateway effect, so to speak. I mean, they're sizable enough, and they probably could be pruned somewhat down. But again, it really focuses your eye, and it gives the person who's walking down the path the cue that something is coming around the corner. So as the path itself makes this arc, this gentle arc, the pittosporum really frame the space. Sun, it's real hot over here. So I thought it might be appropriate for me to plant hot colored blooming colored shrubs and perennials over here. So it's also the part of the yard where I am really slowly starting to incorporate edibles. So for instance, the pomegranate here, a lot of folks, including myself, I was really surprised that this would actually grow in Charleston, that it would overwinter. Now, we have had a really, really mild, some might say, non-winter this past year, but this has done really, really well. The snow several years ago didn't kill it. But again, it's hot color, vibrant color. The hummingbirds and the butterflies just love this area and are constantly here, especially when I put out a feeder, which I don't have one out right now. But at any rate, so the pomegranate, that's a great option. With maturity, it will actually grow pomegranates. I don't know anyone that's actually eaten one from the tree because I don't know how long it takes to do it, but still, it's something kind of to go towards. Beneath it, again, this opportunity for contrast. There's Turk's Cap, which when it blooms has a really, really spectacular, bright, reddish orange bloom that's just really, really a cool, just a really, really cool and interesting bloom on it. That's a native. There are several different varieties of daylilies in here, and they're a mixture of yellows, reds, oranges, different heights, and different times of the summer that they'll bloom, so there'll always be color here. There is, courtesy of the birds raiding and squirrels raiding the bird feeder, there are sunflowers popping up, which I've just kind of given up trying to pull up. We've got hardy marigold, which I've got a doggy, and the reason I'm telling you that is it's very fragrant. It's very helpful, a lot like rosemary oil is in helping to repel ticks and fleas, but also mosquitoes. So brushing past it when I'm working in the yard releases those oils and kind of gives me a little bit of relief from the no-see-ums. So I just kind of want to give you another example of how you can take an area that's got some sun. As you can see in the side, it's almost 50-50, where the sun ends and the shade begins. So again, having this opportunity where you have this dappled light to really bring in punches of color that don't necessarily work in the full sun, but will then give you that sense of light in a dappled sort of light environment. So for example, we have the oak leaf hydrangeas. Honestly, they probably could use a little bit more light, but here's a great opportunity where I can cut into the canopy of this live oak above it and do that. Nature is also very forgiving, and you can work with it in that way. So there's a great opportunity there. Then you move a little bit further down the path to these gorgeous variegated ginger, which over time with maturity do develop a really spectacular tropical looking bloom. Mine have not made it there yet, although I've seen it in person and they're really, really stunning. So you have this gorgeous variegated ginger with this waxy, gigantic farfugium beneath it. So whether you have a matte finish of the variegated ginger leaf and then the high gloss of the farfugium, and the two completely different formations of the leaves really does give you a really nice, impactful space. So as you come further then down the garden, we have this entire row of African iris that, let me tell y'all, these were in another part of the yard for 3 years, and they bloomed once a year, maybe. I moved them here 2 years ago, and this is probably going to be the 5th set of blooms that I get this year. So it's been really, really amazing. As you can see, they are budded up and ready to go. They bloomed at Easter. They were in full bloom for Easter, which was really, really nice. So probably tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, the next day, they'll be in full bloom. I've got some ginger that was gifted to me by Susan Epstein. That's a coral blooming ginger, which is really, really stunning. You can maybe see, I don't know, the light might be a little bit too high, but you can kind of see that gorgeous kind of burnt umber copper color at the base of those the stems there, but the bloom will be spectacular. That'll happen this summer. And then again, here's our pomegranate and some rosemary. It's got curry, really trying to maximize against that fragrance, but also play with that contrast of color, the silvery against the silvery blue against the yellowy green. So again, you just play around with it. It just creates a nice welcoming space. It has been so prolific in its blooming, and I wish you could smell it. The fragrance is just really almost smells like a root beer float, sort of. It's really a spectacular smell. But we've trained it along the wrought iron of our carport here, and at one time it went all the way along the front porch, which was spectacular. I lost it, and I'm slowly starting to train it back towards the porch. But a really, really great classic plant for the Charleston garden. Really doesn't require a lot of care, and with pruning, proper pruning and maintenance, regular maintenance, you can really shape it and form it to what you want it to do and be in your garden. But definitely a spectacular option for the Charleston garden. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my garden with you and tell you a little bit about what I did in it and how it's evolved over time. And really appreciate you all taking a moment to walk it with me.